Naish, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I can, yes.
Oh, wow. Okay, so I just went
I
on
don't know,
mute.
I don't know what
Brilliant.
happened there,
No,
but
no, no, that's fine. So let me do my monologue again. So
okay.
welcome everyone. Today is the 231st episode of Career Care Package, and there is no guest today because you will be, enlightened by me and Caroline today. So that's the idea. And today we are going to talk about a very interesting topic called reframing. It's not something which is only pertinent to career situations. It can be applied everywhere else. But today we will more focus around careers and job search and that kind of scenario. If you have got any questions, any comments about reframing, if you are a career practitioner like us listening to this, and if you have got any comments on it, please drop that in so that you can participate with us as well. But before we start to jump into the topic, let's welcome Caroline Brown.
Thanks, Naish. It's great to be here. We're moving into summer, well, Melbourne summer, so that means one warm day a week, or maybe one warm morning a week. God, sick of it. So you think with the end of lockdown that we would just have this glorious sunshine and everybody would be happy and free, but apparently not. So yeah, it's fantastic to be here. And I guess, before the show, we had a little bit of a discussion about what reframing is, because I think it does mean different things to different people. And I sort of view it as a recast, but with a whole lot of processes behind that, and not just recast, but beyond that, like embedding the new self-belief or the new viewpoint. So I think we should dig into that today, and also talk about, okay, first of all, when do you need to do it, like what it is, and then give some people some examples of what when you might need it, and then maybe just jump into how, some practical tips on how to do it, because there's lots of different ways to do it. But it is a career tool that you studied in your course, so it's a sort of validated, legitimate, non-woo-woo career tool that people actually use. Because
Yeah, so it's
well,
not a yeah, it's not a voodoo science, by the way.
It's not waving the crystal in front of your head going, my
Not at
problem's
all.
going to magically disappear.
No, no,
And I think that's
I
what
wish.
people are interested in. So if you've
Agreed.
got any questions, please jump in. We'd love to hear them. Got any comments? Got any things to share? We'd love to hear that as well. So,
Yeah, excellent.
Nish, tell us about the reframe, because you drew this fantastic doodle. And when I say we're going to show your doodle, I picture my nephew and niece having a real giggle in the background. So I just want to get that out of the way. So yeah.
Excellent. All right. Yes. So we'll talk about that. But before that, I think I should also give a huge pat on back to both of us because I won the CDAA Victorian Division Excellence of the Year award, but I could not have won that without the help of Caroline Brown because
That is true.
the way I pitched that this submission was based on three projects that we have done. Australia's Got Fresh Talent, where Caroline's idea was fresh, was her thing on it. Then career care package shows and also Cards Against Insanity. So good on for both of us to doing that and being recognized for the work that we have done. So now
Can I
let's
just
get
say
back to
something
yeah,
on
yeah.
that? I was on YouTube the other day and I discovered somebody else using Career Care Package as a name and getting more views than us.
You're
Anyway,
kidding me.
outrageous.
Ah, okay.
It's all
All
good.
right. Okay.
Sorry, I jumped in and distracted you from your train of thought, as I do. So keep going.
Yeah. So reframing is a you know is a very interesting not a new concept. I think we a lot of the times we reframe situations, even in our day to day life, such as oh, I can't my sibling or my kids are not studying properly. What can I do now to help them? What can I do to help them to excel that? Oh, I'm not keeping my diet plan on track. What can I do to solve this problem? But reframing essentially is not changing the problem itself. So you're not kind of if I like to say that if the problem is square, right? It is you're not trying to make that square in triangle, because that will cause
Mm.
another problem. But you're trying to look at that square from a different perspective, right? And that's what reframing is. So if I can just go back to what in this fabulous book, called Design Your Work Life, they talk about, they say, we want to be clear that we are not just telling you to look at the bright side of things, or advising you to blindly choose the side that it's all okay. We aren't ignoring the reality of what might be a really bad workplace or bad career situation that you find yourself in. So it's not also renaming that. Oh, so now we rename this problem as problem X, and that's
Mm.
going to suddenly do that. But it's about having a different point of view of looking at that problem. And another thing to that is also adding couple of other pointers to that, and maybe adding to that may give you a different view on the problem itself. So that's what reframing in my view is. If I can show the drawing that I did, probably that will help us make a sense of this. Now, mind you, this is not my I should also acknowledge that this is not my drawing. I picked it up from an author called Nick, and this is what he talks about, that reframing, if you see this one, that he's not changing the cloud at all. He's just keeping that dark clouds, but he's adding rainbow to it, and that's what reframing is. That you are adding things to it, or you're taking away things to it, so that you're starting to see that in a different light altogether. So it's more around altering the way you see the problem, rather than changing anything. If you, for example, a lot of us have got coaches in our life, whether that's a health coach, that's a business coach, that's career coach. And what the coach tries to do or helps you is to see the problem in a different light altogether, and then help you to they facilitate the actions, so that you are able to change, you are able to move beyond that problem. So that's what I see, in terms of reframing really looks like, KB.
Mm. Yeah, it's really interesting because I think, to make a powerful change, you have to understand that there is a problem, that there is something going on. Often, people have different kind of behaviors, say, for example, working, till 3 in the morning or whatever, um, 7 days a week. And not really uncovering the reason why they might be working. It's just like, I've got to do this, I've got to do this, I've got to. So if you're denying that there is a problem that's driving you there, what you might come up with, like you're just going to repeat the same behavior, or whatever you come up with isn't going to actually help you shift. Because I think ultimately this is what people want to do, is actually shift. So you've got to kind of understand what, have a level of, in my view around this, is have a level of curiosity around what created the cloud as well, and why the cloud is so big, as part of the, well, how do I move and see that in a different frame, and create a reality so that frame is all that I see in that. Because I think um, that's a really powerful thing to
Mm,
change. So, often your cloud is the thing that is deeply distressing to you in your job, or your job search, or your life, and you don't want to, what distresses you around that is, can be and this is, I guess, part of a reframe, can be a real point of understanding what's really
mm,
important to you as well.
mm,
So
mm,
um, I think, when we talk about sort of, you see sort of the 5-step process to do this kind of stuff, it
mm,
kind of
mm,
implies that you could do it really quickly. But for a lot
mm,
of people, this kind of reframe is
mm,
it's a lifelong journey, basically.
mm, mm. I think you asked a question about when do you we use that. I think we use that for problems that are not solved with the current level of thinking. Obviously, Einstein said it more beautifully than what I do. Is that the problems that were created yesterday's thinking cannot be solved with that kind of thing. You need a
mm,
different way of thinking around it. But career problems, in my view, are like that.
mm,
The career situations that we were finding before 2020 March were very different to what we find ourselves in now. And the way we were thinking about career situation at that time is far different now. We are now looking at, we all have been impacted by this pandemic, in a intense way to less intense way. And we are all compelled to look at this, that what am I going to do now, how am I going to address this situation. And I think reframing is a great tool to do that. If I can also add to this, before we came online, another way to look at this is to add a few elements to a problem too, in order to reframe that. And I gave a very crude example of, if I've got only one thing to eat at home, and I want to, that's not enough for me. What I tend to do is I tend to add small thing to it, an extra thing to it. And then I said, okay, so if I've added papadums to it, can I make a buttermilk with it? And can I use this? Oh, if I'm going to make buttermilk, I think I can add some other spicy things to it. So what, starting with one thing, it starts to add up to various things. And then I think, my problem of filling my tummy with delicious food goes out of the window, because now I've got more options, because just because I started to add few more things to it. Similar to even in careers too, right? I'll give you an example of somebody that I was talking with recently. And I know she has decided to study a particular subject, living overseas. But she feels that she's got 5 years of industry experience, and she's studying an extra subject, extra qualification. But she feels that, in order for her to get a job in the industry that she is interested in, she's either too underqualified, and people are looking for grad positions, or they are looking for people with significant experience. And she's kind of in a middle, and what to do with it. And my view was that, you're looking at your situation from just one angle, that, oh, I'm just starting to study, I don't think so that I've got enough. You're not looking at this problem in a reframe, wider frame, that who you are is a mix of all these experiences that you got, right? You've got 5 years of experience working in an industry, and now you are studying, and now you're looking for work. And I think that reframing, or looking at the current problem in a different way, really helped her to start to think a little differently, and say, what am I going to do now, how can I maximize my opportunity now? So that's what I meant by reframing in a very practical sense, KB.
Yeah, I like that example. I just wanted to go back to your example of the thing that you don't want to eat. What you've done is you've turned that into a small part of the bigger meal, but a complementary part of the bigger meal. And I
Mm,
suppose just to put that into context, but your example with your graduate is fantastic, because you're just tending to look at, she's looking at what she's done post study and then what's available to her. But another reframe of that as well is not just, looking over the entirety of your career and the things that you can add to an employer, but reframe how you look for a job, right? So
mm,
why do you need to look for a job in this certain way? So part of the reframe can be looking at what your assumptions are about how you might move forward with that. And always, I think in this kind of scenario, and I know I'm speaking in more theory, but it is about really looking at what your inbuilt assumptions are about everything,
mm,
because then you can see the world in an entirely
mm,
different way, and you can see a way forward in a different way as well. Um, Couple of other examples around
mm,
a problem I reckon that would
mm,
resonate with people is the idea that you know you can't sell yourself, right?
mm,
That's a problem, and that you might want to reframe in your job search,
mm,
or that you're you're too old, which is like,
mm,
a different version of The Graduate. Nobody's going to hire me because I'm too old, or nobody's going to hire me because I'm not great at technology, or no,
mm,
there's these sort of inbuilt assumptions that
mm,
come from that we have, that we don't question. So part of the process of reframing, I think, is actually laying those things out and going, why do I think that? What is it that makes me think that I'm not good at selling
mm,
myself?
mm,
And the reframe of that could be, well, what do I think is sales? Like
mm,
that's the question.
mm,
Why
mm,
do I
mm,
think I'm not good at selling myself? What do I think is sales? And then,
mm,
if you unpack that, you go, well, sales is simply understanding what somebody wants
mm,
and whether you can matching what you can offer to that scenario. So it's not about being the most confident person in the world. If you think it is about being confident, then what is it? That curiosity thing is like, well, what do I need to do to give myself more confidence? Um, so, I think in the whole process of the reframe is actually the curiosity around,
mm,
why have I got this problem here right now? Like,
mm,
what is it I really think is going on? Like, why do I
mm,
have that belief about myself?
mm, mm. And that's, in design thinking, that's called dysfunctional belief.
Mm,
That a belief that is not helping you at all. And that's very important to know that, what you alluded to, KB, is that the question, you're not asking the right question at that time.
mm,
You tend to ask a question, I don't know what to do,
mm,
right? I don't think so that I'm capable enough, or I don't think
mm,
so that I will get through this. Now it's a tricky situation. I've never dealt with it. I don't know how to do that, right? And and turning that around, reframing that in a way that gives you one small action, because
mm,
one small action opens up the door for you. Similarly, adding one thing to your problem opens up something to you.
mm,
And that's what, so now y- you know that's what you got to, I think, fundamentally do. What's my dysfunctional belief at this time? What am
mm,
I saying to myself about this problem that I'm facing?
mm,
And can I do something about it? Can I change? Because our actions, our words are very powerful, our language is very powerful, it's got a profound impact on ourselves. And the moment you see the opening, you say, oh yeah, I think I can think a little differently here, right?
mm,
Many years back, I was, my son, Kshitij did not get the marks that he was looking for, right? And then I said, Kshitij, can you just think for a second that you got the marks based on the activities that you did, right? And what if you just added 15 minutes every day to your activity? Just 15 minutes, I'm saying. Would it make a difference? And he said, yeah, it would. So that's what you are looking for. You're not trying to change how tough is the situation, but you're trying to think of, what can I tinker around? Can I change or can I alter the way I ask question?
mm,
And small steps, I think that's equally important, KB, here, because I think we get consumed by this, a complex problem, I need massive action, I need, like,
mm,
I have to move mountains. And what design thinking says is that, no, you set a very small bar, like a really small thing, because those small things will get you what you want. Because it just, what you are looking for at that time is to clear the table. Okay, I've taken this action, did not work out, I'm going to clear the table, and let's move on.
I think, having kind of a little bit of an action orientation around that, like small actions, helps, because I think if the actions are too big, say for example, if you're wanting to change your job, if the actions are too big, you got to do your resume, you got to be good at interviews, you got to work out what you want, you don't do it because
Mm,
you settle back into the status quo because that's just easier. So the small actions are really powerful, but what the small actions do is actually, because we're not good, I don't think, at imagining a great future, right?
mm,
And then
mm,
taking the actions
mm,
backwards to do it. We come from the leap from the known to the unknown for some people is huge.
mm,
So,
mm.
and for all of us, there's a big gap. We're not,
Yeah.
and we're motivated more by avoiding pain than we are for than moving towards
Mm,
something good. But you know, the pain is real. The pain of whatever issue that you've got going on is you don't want to deny that, but you just want to take a step to give you a slightly different reality and try that
mm,
on and see how that works.
mm,
And I don't know, I'll give people a practical example of something that I do with my clients. And there's a
mm,
reason that I said, you know, one of people's core self beliefs is they're not great at selling themselves.
mm,
A small step to start to reframe that thinking around that, and eventually, like the actions that you might take, is to start to write out your stories
mm,
and your stories over, you know, all of your career. So you might be in a job, it might be, you know, you can't see the wood for the trees,
mm,
you
mm,
can't see a way out, you're not seeing the full view of
mm,
yourself, like your client as well. So
mm,
I get people to write down things that they've enjoyed in the form of
mm,
stories, and then
mm,
go back and go, why did that, you know, what's a problem that I solved at work, why did that occur, um,
mm,
what were the steps that I took to solve it, what was the
mm,
outcome, what was the impact of that problem on the
mm,
business, and what strengths were I demonstrating in that. And then you've got, you know, 8 or 9 stories that you can
mm,
then pick the eyes out and go, well, actually, I accomplished this, and this is the value it delivered,
mm,
and this is how I did it. And you take a back seat and you
mm,
go, if I just looked at that alone, not my jobs, not my
mm,
titles, if I just looked, what consistency, what kind of pattern am I seeing here?
mm, mm,
Um, and that's a way of kind of you know, it's a practical action that you can take. It's a small action that you can take that
mm.
reshapes your thinking around the value, you know, you as a valuable
Mm.
individual. So that's
Yeah,
just one
yeah.
example of doing it. And that's the benefit of having an outside coach or counselor to actually help you with that process.
Mm, mm. Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think as this book says, setting up small goals is the idea here. Because as you rightly pointed out, KB, if if you get asked that, okay, let's change the job, he said, yeah, it looks great on a Sunday night and you're discussing, I'm going to change the job, but Monday reality hits and said, oh no, I doesn't seem as as simple as I thought it would be. And given the
Mm,
challenges that we are facing, I think it's it's far more difficult now to change
mm,
the job, change the career completely, not the job but career completely.
yeah.
It requires a lot of other thinking, around what you want to design your life to be, just rather than the career
Mm,
design. But setting up small goals is always, always a great beginning, around that, and questioning the belief that you have. And
mm,
to your point around curiosity is very important too, is that, why am I having this situation, right? It's not, also, we must, you know avoid at all cost that, um I like what, I don't know, Nicole said. Nicole last year that we had, one of the counselor, and she told about that the problem is the problem. You are not the problem, and that was very,
yes, exactly. I
that
love
is
that. There's a
very,
reframe of a problem. Yeah.
that's right. That's right. And
Yeah.
I think, in fact, that is, from a narrative therapy,
Mm,
principle, that the problem is the problem. You're not the problem.
mm,
And I think that just frees you up. It doesn't take away the responsibility from you at all. We are not asking you to, get yourself out of that responsibility, but it just, you know, creates that distance for us for a small time where window of opportunity opens up. There is a problem and there is me. What can I do now?
mm,
Right? Rather than I'm the problem, because it's so intertwined that
mm,
I'm the problem, not I have the problem, but I'm the problem. Right?
mm,
And even thinking that also allows you, because you need to give yourself freedom
mm,
and permission to reframe too, because otherwise, nah, I'm not going to reframe this because that's just positive voodoo science. I don't want that, right? I
mm,
want an answer. I want an answer now,
mm,
right? So I think allowing yourself, giving permission to reframe and tinker around, that's another thing, right? You got to try out some, test, because not necessarily it's going to work out,
mm.
right?
I
You
think the
got to
other thing
try it
around
out.
that is
Mm,
also, say for example, you think, I'm, I don't want to, I'm not going to, I don't think I'm good at my job, right? And so that might stop you from applying for a new job or trying to do some more study or investing in yourself or whatever. A great way to just help you understand that the problem is the problem is to actually go and ask people, like talk to people about, this is a scenario. Where would you apportion blame, so to speak, or responsibility, so to speak, in this scenario? And you can guarantee that if you ask 5 people, you get
mm,
5 different versions. And then it's kind of like, so, and your version might be, I'm causing the problem, right?
mm, mm,
So that's an interesting exercise of just, exploration, but trying to understand that it might not be you being the problem. But one of the things I think that, if you talk about that kind of reframe, is
mm,
how do you, um, we're talking about creating a different reality in a sense.
mm,
So how do
mm,
you ensure that that reality that you're creating sticks? I think that's a big thing as well, because,
mm,
um, we all have these sort of innate ways of looking at things or innate self beliefs that are
mm, mm,
really bedrocked, basically.
mm,
So,
mm, mm,
yeah,
mm.
what are your thoughts on that?
Look, I think one of the way that you can create kind of an agreement within your,
Mm,
is to share that, is to talk
mm,
about that, a new found you.
mm,
When most of you know that I was landmark graduate, and I think Caroline is also landmark curriculum graduate, and the principle is very simple around that, is that in the last part of the program, where we are asked to go and tell people about a project that we have undertaken, a community project, right? And the reason being that is that we are then inviting people to see us in a different light,
mm,
because we are doing this project. So it's equally a responsibility of me to talk about what I am doing, or I'm starting to see this problem differently, so that people can not necessarily hold me to account, but people started to see, oh, now I should start to see this differently, which is great. So you kind of get an on-site agreement or a support from your network, that now you are starting to see this very differently.
mm,
And I can only reflect on my own journey of some of the career downs that I had. And then was, you have been a continuous traveler with me. Alan has been a continuous traveler, and a few other people, addition to my own family here. But but it's through continuous communication that I'm able to kind of shift the way people think about me, or shift the way people perceive how I'm seeing the problem now.
mm,
So communication is massively important one. But you also have to choose people that you want to communicate this to, right? The
mm,
people need to have a background into what you're experiencing. If you suddenly
mm,
go to tell someone this is what's happening, people will have less of a background, and they will not
mm,
be able to hold that. They will not be able to understand where you're coming from. So that's,
mm,
in my view, is to for you to change the reality, so to say, around how people view you,
mm,
is the only way is through communication. And obviously communication and action, but it needs to be communicated as well.
mm. Yeah, I mean, I think that thing around, are you the sum of the 5 people that you spend the most time with? I don't know if I necessarily believe that, but I think you got to pick people that understand you and have earned the right to speak into your life as well, about whether your view of things or whether your behavior is in line. And the flip side of that is those people will be the ones that actually help you
Yep.
get along that journey. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Excellent. Yeah. So these are some of my thoughts. I'm running out of thoughts anymore to add to this
I've got
reframing
none. I
thing.
wrote everything down. I
Yeah. That's it.
had a
That's it.
quick
Yeah.
look
Yeah.
around on
Yeah.
this, but
Yeah. Yeah.
I suppose the other
Yeah.
thing, yeah, just going back is to help you find that new reality is to really, if I wanted to leave people with one message, is to even if you don't feel like doing something, even if you're kind of wedded to the problem that you have as being the reality, just understand that that's a viewpoint, and that just try and do one small thing differently, and observe yourself while you actually do it. If you go back to your nasty thing that you're eating and adding all the ingredients, it's like, okay, so I'm going to add some salt. Yeah. I'm going to add some, a papadum. I'm going to add some relish. Oh, it's starting to taste. So you really want to just have that kind of curious mindset about the things that
Mm,
you're adding into that. Is what I'm doing making me helping me see myself
mm,
self differently?
mm.
So that would be my sort of final tip on that.
Excellent. All right, that brings us to the end of 231st episode of Career Care Package. Please go ahead and
Don't
buy
forget.
the Cards Against Insanity box. We'll put the link in the chat box here. And yeah, any parting words, KB?
No, I've got nothing. I'm looking forward to the weekend, to be perfectly honest. So,
Yeah,
yeah, it's been a bit of a week. So,
it is.
a
Yes.
couple of things. I'm working on my Straight to Shortlist challenge. So, I'm working on putting that up online as a course. So that's happening over the next couple of months. I'll be making some videos around that with some content from that. So you can check that out. Please go to our YouTube channel to do that. So what else? I think that's it from me. Buy the Cards Against Insanity. Don't forget to follow the hashtag Career Care Package and the hashtag Cards Against Insanity. And we will see you next week.
Absolutely. We'll see you next week. If there is no other guest, then we will enlighten you as we always do that. Okay.
We've got 15 minutes each.
That's it. That's it. There'll be two
Yeah.
monologues coming your way. Okay. All right.
All right.
Everyone, have a great weekend, everyone. And, stay happy and healthy. Bye for now.
Okay. Bye, everyone.